the American dream. So what does the American dream mean? It's to live in a society where success is possible for everyone, and regardless of where they came from or what ethnicity they are. And in Juana's story, her father wants to travel to the U.S. chasing the American dream to pay off debt that he's facing in Mexico. And the success he's looking for is in the form of money. And for Juana, she wants to go to the U.S. to find her dad so that she can bring him back and finally give her and her mother peace. And the success that she is looking for in that case is with her family. What does it cost? It costs everything mentally, physically, and psychologically, also morally and financially. And Juana, physically, she is extremely tired on her journey. She faces extreme hunger at home and while on her trip. And her body is just in pain. Mentally, she has to deal with trying to keep hope. And a lot of times, she almost gives up hope because the circumstances aren't looking too great for her. Mentally, she also has to watch a boy die right in front of her, which can take a mental toll. Morally, she has to give up her virtues. In the case of trying to get money, she becomes a prostitute, which gives up her self-worth and her integrity. She also has to save herself and instead of caring for other people, learn that her self-worth is more important than others. So she has to steal someone else's identity, and financially she's poor, and again she has to become a prostitute to make money. Is it worth it? It costs a lot, like I said, mentally, physically, morally, and financially for a lot of people. And for some people it doesn't work, but when it does work, the reward is really high paying. And it causes a lot of stress just to get a better life. And in Juana, if she had never left for the U.S., she would have never had the peace of mind knowing that her father had died on his trip there, and that she thought that he might have abandoned her. And if she would have never left Donna Matilda, if she would never left, she would have never given Donna Matilda the time she needed with Jose. And in the end of the book, she would give her blessing to her son to go see her real mother and give Lupe the peace of thinking that at least she had brought back her husband.
So the other part of our assignment was to find an article that we could relate back to the novel and to this idea of the American dream. So I found an article about a man named Jose Luis Zelaya, and he traveled from Honduras to the United States at the age of 13. And like Juana, he had lost his brother to health issues, and he was unable, like his family was unable to take him to the hospital because they were poor. And like the boy in the train that Juana had to see die, he had to watch the life from his brother leave him. And his father can kind of be related to Don Elias, whereas like Don Elias was keeping like Juana and her mother there, while Jose's father was keeping his mother and his sister and him all there. And he crosses the border and he actually ends up in a detention center, and he was eventually reunited with his mom. But like the journey to the United States was just like terrible for him, and he had to see things that like no 13-year-old should ever have to see. So for him, like what is the American dream? Like he left to go and find his mother and his sister and to get away from his father. So I guess like his type of success is family and safety. And like what does it cost? He was physically abused by his father and the coyotes that he was working with, and later he had to have nose reconstruction surgery, and he had 4 knee replacement surgeries. And he had to for mentally and morally, he had to watch little girls being raped, and if he said anything about it, then he would be killed. And is it worth it? Well, he ended up in a detention center, and while he was there, he wasn't allowed to share his story with anyone, and nobody was allowed to call him by his real name. And his new name was the number 7, because they gave all the kids the numbers. like as if it was a prison. But he was eventually reunited with his mom, and like one of the things he said was like, I didn't come here to eat or to shower or to be in a nice place. I came to be with my mom and my sister regardless of the conditions. So to him it was worth it because he was reunited with his family. And this is actually a picture of Jose and his mom at his college graduation. Like you could just see that it was worth it for them, and they're reunited and they're happy finally. So yeah, and that's all.
Sources.
And then those are